My name is Calvin Weaver, and today I'm going to be presenting on Google Analytics and SEO. I actually have a history in SEO, so when I was doing this, making this presentation, I decided to focus on more of the things that are relevant to what we are doing and what we might be doing in the near future, as opposed to going into more complicated issues or topics of SEO and analytics. Yeah, this will be focusing on what we can kind of change right now about what we are doing and some of the things we can look forward to. SEO, for those of you who don't know, is short for search engine optimization. It's the process of improving your site to increase its visibility when people are searching for content that your site provides. Search engines such as Google and Bing and other ones will use algorithms and bots to search sites, collect information, analyze, and order the pages on their search engines for relevancy and reliability. So something I kind of want to focus on is HTML tags, which are small snippets of HTML coding that tells search engines how to properly read your content. Um, so one of the first things whenever you're writing HTML code is the title tag. And this is very important because if it's not relevant to what your page is about, then it will be ranked much lower, because where people are looking for, let's say in this example right here, 10 ways to bake chicken might be a good title for the page. But titled, if your title tag is why you should eat chicken, this confuses the results, it confuses the people looking for the information, and therefore people who are looking for recipes for chicken aren't going to look at your site. Um, Using the best probably example would be the last one right there, 10 ways to bake chicken in 2022. It's relevant. It has obviously lets the people know it's about cooking chicken, and it's 2022, so people know it's up to date. Um, Another very relevant HTML tag is meta. And there's a lot of different ones in meta, but I want to focus on description first. And this is not um, something that you should overlook. It's definitely something you should focus on. Whenever you make a search result on Google, it's one of the first things you see underneath the website. It's the little description in Google that tells you what the page is about. So um, I know for me, I'm sure a lot of you can relate, where you're looking for something online and maybe it's something a little bit harder to find. You look at that description a lot of the time just to see if the site um, is relevant to what you're searching for. So making sure your meta description is very relevant to what the page is about is very important when it comes to SEO work, people finding your content in your page. The header tag is also very important, and is very useful for users and bots, search engine bots. If you think about trying to find information on a site, headers kind of help the eyes find what's most important. So making your site um, very structured, and the content that you're delivering, H1 um, is generally saved for the title, and then H2 sub or topics, H3 subtopics, H4 supporting. So just make sure that you're you think about what's important, and kind of the placement of things. Bots will use your headers to segment your information. So it's very important to remember to kind of structure your pages out with that in mind. Links are can be a complicated topic when it comes to SEO, but a way that Google and other search engines determine a site's validity is through linking. Um, Not just links from your sites to other sites, but other sites having links to your sites, which is which is a whole part of SEO, is backlinking, which is getting your sites linked from other valid sites that Google sees as being very valid and having a lot of history and are good to have links to or from. So if but that's a different topic. Don't want to focus too much on that. I want to focus about the links that we make on our own sites to other sites. It's important that these links are related to the topic of the page. If the bots see that the topics on your page don't match up with the topics on the linking page, this will be seen as a fault and you will be penalized. If you want to add a link that isn't relative to the topic, then you can use this right here, which basically just tells Google and the bots, like, don't pay attention to this site that's being linked because it has no relevance to the topic. So here's an example of what that would look like in your code. Open graph tag, which is not something that we have talked about yet, but an open graph tag is a way to increase search and displayability for social media. Example of this code for open graph tag would be right here. And oops, sorry about that. Went a little bit ahead. And then the image HTML tag is also um, very important to focus on, and mainly the alt attribute of image. So a picture tells 1,000 words, but what about search engines? What does it tell a search engine bot whenever it's looking through? It can't understand a picture yet, luckily, but whenever it reads the alt, it can determine attributes that are important for search engine. I'm thinking about whenever people are searching images. So to make sure that your picture and your content can be found, it's important to make your images relevant and to remember to use the alt to describe your picture so that where people are searching it online, they can find it. Google Analytics. This is going to be kind of a brief overview of kind of some of the features of Google Analytics and the useful benefits whenever we're going forward into this topic. So, Google Analytics gives the user a wide array of options for measuring SEO metrics. I will be going over some of the most useful metrics that you can measure through Google Analytics. Page views, traffic behavior. These are all very important with page views. This is an obvious metric that would be useful to measure. Being able to see the traffic that is coming to each page and how each page is performing, what changes you might need to make, or seeing what's working well on other pages on your site. The traffic, obviously, being able to analyze your traffic and where people are getting led to. Google provides comprehensive reports about the channels that drive traffic to your site. So you can analyze the traffic to your site and other data like engagement, bounce rate, conversion, etc. And then behaviors. Google actually give you the ability to see some of the behaviors that people have where they're going through your page, like what they click on, how long they're on it, and kind of when they get off. And sometimes you can analyze that and figure out maybe some things you need to change, why people are getting off of that page. Maybe something isn't working right. So, all very important. Time on page and bounce rate. The users can see um, if you were on it and you're looking at a site, you can see how long a visitor stays on a certain page and when a visitor leaves your landing page before exploring other pages, bounce rate. Um, so here's an example from the actual Google Analytics, and this is very common. You'll see, be able to see. sessions, new users, percentage of new users, and it just goes down. Conversion rates. Now, this is more for web stores, and if you were working with someone or if you had your own website that you were trying to sell products on. And obviously, this would be very important to focus on and to really understand. You can see new users, first time users. You can also, if you wanted to, you could see return users and how many of those visit a certain page, how many of those convert into people who purchase, how many of those begin checkout but never purchase anything. Um, so all those metrics really help you to understand what kind of drives people and what might you need to change so that people it makes it easier for people to purchase and get to the checkout. Here are some of my sources that I use for this presentation. Once again, Google Analytics is a very comprehensive tool. Gives you a lot of information, a lot of data. It can be kind of overwhelming, but it's important to focus on some of the simple things: page views, traffic, behaviors. These are probably some of the most important things, just to see how people are getting to your site, how they interact with your site, and things that you might want to change about your site. Um, Thank you for listening to me today. If you have any questions, please leave them below. And thank you for your time.